My mom once told me that you can tell you're a good person when you've saved an animal. So, by that logic, after I'm done with these stories, I can be a massive prick, cause YouTube drama, or rob a bank all I want, but I'll still be seen as a good guy because I saved some animals. I'm just kidding. Okay, here are the stories. One night, I was out playing football at my best friend's house when we saw this small pitbull come up to us. Nobody was with the dog, but we just assumed she might live nearby and got out of her yard. Being kids, we started playing with her a bit, and when it was time for us to go, the pitbull's owner still didn't come by. My dad let me and my brother watch over her while he asked the neighbors if anyone owned the dog, but nobody said yes. This happened on a weekend when we usually go to a motocross track my dad races at, so since nobody claimed the dog, we took her with us. When we got there, somebody pointed out that the dog was sick, which I don't know how we missed that because her tongue was beige. Okay, this next part might seem a bit questionable, but don't worry, everything worked out fine and I now know better alternatives. So we took her to our local pound where she got treatment for her condition, and as great as that was, if this happened today, I would have taken her to the Humane Society instead because they have a no-kill policy. After all that, my dad got a call from the guy who pointed out the dog's sickness, and he wanted to take her in as his own. So we went back to the pound to get her because this guy lived in Prescott, which is really far away from where we live, and then we took her back to the track, gave her to the guy, and he ended up naming her Baby Girl. And she lived happily ever after. The end. Okay, so this next story, my mom technically rescued this one, but I helped in the process. There was a Maine Coon outside her neighbor's apartment, and he couldn't take him in, so my mom did. Sadly, this cat was terrified of everyone because he got attacked by strays. He even had a scar on his right eye because of the strays. My brother named him Evan, which I thought he chose the name because we were watching Vanoss a lot back then, but he always denies that this is the reason why he named him that. We tried our best to bond with Evan, and he sort of warmed up to me, but he still had a hard time trusting anyone. My mom was considering keeping him, but we had two problems in the form of Daniel and Max. That is literally the only time I will ever say Daniel and Max are a problem. Anyway, they would not get along with him at all. We tried every method of making them get to know each other, but nothing seemed to work. So we had to take him to the Humane Society, and the very next day, he got adopted. I hope wherever he is, Evan is no longer afraid and is living happily ever after. The end. The last story starts at my workplace. I work at a grocery store where I bag people's food, gather carts, and other random tasks. One night while getting the carts, I went back inside and noticed a milk crate inside a cart at the front of the store. I thought the people in the back just left it there, and then I proceeded to go back inside. Small tangent here. When I entered the store, I noticed this one customer who left the store without buying anything. She had this overly friendly gesture as if to say, "Howdy ho there, I didn't steal anything. I'm a law-abiding citizen who pays for things." This set off many red flags in my head. So I wrote down her description, gave it to security, and now she will be shot on sight if she even breathes near the store. After witnessing that horrid crime against humanity, I went back outside to do more carts and saw some people gathered around the milk crate that was still there. Someone came up to me and said there were kittens in that box. I take a look inside and there were 3 little kittens without any mittens. No one around seemed willing to take the kittens in, so the best solution I could think of was to call my mom and see if she could take them to the Humane Society if they were still open. They weren't, so she had to take them in for the night. This happened a few months after Evan, so I was worried Daniel and Max would attack the kittens, but from what I heard from my mom, they hid from them. My mom had to give them a bath because they smelled really bad, and apparently one of them spat on her for it. The next day, she gave them to her friend who works at the Humane Society, and she raised them until they were old enough to be adopted. And then they were adopted, and they lived happily ever after. The end. Okay, so the Jane thing didn't really happen. I just wanted to give her a little tease if she ever watches my videos. Aside from that, thank you for listening to my stories. If you enjoyed them, I hope you'll stick around to hear more in the future. And with that, I'll see ya.